The metal floor beneath Captain Eliza Ward's boots hummed as she stood alone on the observation deck. Her eyes never left the massive ships outside the viewport. The Galactic Council vessels were leaving, their engines glowing bright blue against the blackness of space. 5 years of talks, of promises, of hope, all ending as those ships pulled away from Earth. Eliza's reflection stared back at her from the glass. Her uniform still looked crisp despite the 18-hour diplomatic session that had just ended. Her dark hair was pulled back tight, showing the lines of worry that had formed on her face over the last few weeks. She had known this was coming. The council representatives had grown colder in their meetings, asked harder questions, made impossible demands. Too volatile, they had said about humans. Too unpredictable. The largest council ship, nearly the size of Manhattan, engaged its faster-than-light drive. The space around it bent in a flash of light, and then it was gone. The others followed, one by one, until Earth's orbit was empty of alien vessels for the first time in 5 years. Eliza's communicator buzzed. She didn't need to look to know who it was. The United Earth government would want answers. They would want someone to blame. "Ward here," she said, pressing the device on her wrist. "The President wants you back at headquarters immediately." The voice belonged to Gregory Palmer, her direct supervisor. He didn't sound angry, just tired. "Everyone's asking questions. The news feeds are going crazy." "I'll be there in an hour," she replied. Eliza ended the call and finally turned away from the viewport. The observation deck was designed to impress visiting aliens. High ceilings, marble floors, artwork from every human culture. Now it felt hollow, a symbol of failed hopes. The door slid open and Lieutenant Alan Murphy stepped in. He had been by her side through all the negotiations, a steady presence when talks grew tense. His uniform jacket was unbuttoned, his red, hair messy from running his hands through it, a habit when he was worried. "They really left," he said, walking to the viewport. "After everything we showed them, everything we promised." Eliza nodded. They made up their minds weeks ago. The final meeting was just for show. What happens now? We spent 5 years preparing to join their alliance. Our whole economy shifted toward space technology, new energy systems. Eliza moved to a small table and picked up a data pad left behind. On it was the Council's final statement, a formal rejection of Earth's application to join the Galactic Alliance of Worlds. "Now we adapt," she said. "We keep building. We don't need their permission to explore space." Murphy turned to face her. "But we do need their technology, their star maps, their protection from whatever else is out there." Eliza set down the pad, harder than she meant to. "I know. The politicians will want someone to blame," Murphy said quietly. "Let them blame me. I led the talks." Eliza walked to the center of the room where a holographic display showed the solar system. She spun it with her finger, watching Earth rotate. "But this isn't right, Alan." Murphy raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "Their reasons don't add up. They cited our conflicts, our environmental issues, but we've made more progress than half the species they've accepted in the last century." She stopped the spinning globe with her finger. "Something else is going on." "Like what?" "I don't know yet. But during the final session, I saw the Arcturian delegate pass something to the Draconian representative. They thought no one was watching." Murphy stepped closer. "Could have been anything. Maybe. But the Arcturians were our biggest supporters until 3 weeks ago. Then they suddenly changed sides." Eliza looked up at her friend. "I'm not accepting this, Alan. Not yet." "What are you planning?" Murphy asked, knowing that look in her eyes. "First, I'll go face the president and take whatever punishment is coming, then—" She paused, glancing back at the empty space where the council ships had been. "Then I'm going to find out what they're not telling us." Murphy nodded slowly. "Whatever you need, I'm with you." For the first time that day, Eliza felt a small spark of hope. The council had given up on Earth, but she wasn't ready to give up on the truth. 3 months passed since the Council ships left Earth. Captain Eliza Ward no longer wore her ambassador uniform. The United Earth government had removed her from her position, blaming her for the failed negotiations. She now worked from a small apartment in what used to be called Seattle. Rain tapped against the windows as she studied data files spread across her desk. Eliza had gathered a small team who believed in her suspicions. Dr. Samantha Keyes sat across from her, analyzing biological data. The woman's curly brown hair was tied back loosely, her eyes focused on the screens in front of her. As one of Earth's top experts on alien biology, Samantha had worked closely with Council scientists before they left. At the window stood Jack Dawson, watching the rain. His military intelligence background made him cautious by nature. He had served in Earth's defense forces during first contact events and had never fully trusted the Council representatives. "I found something," Samantha said suddenly. She turned, her screen toward Eliza. "Look at these communication patterns." Eliza moved closer. The screen showed a complex web of encrypted transmissions between Council ships during the final weeks of negotiations. "Most of these follow diplomatic protocols," Samantha explained. "But these clusters here don't match any official communication patterns." Jack joined them at the table. "Secret messages outside official channels." "Exactly," Samantha nodded. "And they increased by 800% in the week before they announced their decision." Eliza tapped on one of the clusters. "Can we decode them?" "Not completely," Samantha replied, "but I've isolated repeated terms in their language." She pulled up another screen showing alien symbols with rough translations. "This one appears most often. It translates roughly to dormant cedars." "Cedars?" Jack asked. "It could mean anything," Samantha said, "but it's often paired with this term, which means earth crust or earth shell." Eliza sat back in her chair. For weeks she had felt like she was chasing shadows. Now they had something concrete. They found something in Earth's crust. Something they called cedars. "There's more," Samantha continued. "These transmissions were mainly between ships from the Draconian Empire and the Arcturian Union. The two delegations that suddenly turned against us," Eliza noted. Jack crossed his arms. "So they didn't reject us because we're too volatile. They found something valuable here." Eliza felt a mix of anger and validation. They're planning to come back for it, whatever it is. But what are cedars? Samantha wondered aloud. Eliza opened her personal files and pulled up geological survey data that the Council had requested during the second year of negotiations. They asked for deep crust samples from every continent. We thought they were studying our planet's stability. The three of them spent hours reviewing the data, looking for patterns. Finally, Jack spotted something. "These sites," he said, pointing to markers on a global map. "Each one shows unusual energy readings that our scientists couldn't explain. The Council experts claimed they were just natural background radiation." Samantha zoomed in on one location in what had once been called Brazil. "These readings don't match any natural radiation pattern I've ever seen." "There are 16 similar sites around the planet," Jack noted, "all deep beneath the surface." Eliza felt a chill run through her. "If there's technology hidden in our planet, technology old enough to be buried that deep, then it predates human civilization," Samantha finished. "By millions of years. The Council didn't abandon us because they thought we were dangerous," Eliza said softly. "They left because they found something they want to take, and they didn't want to share it with us." Jack's expression darkened. "So what do we do with this information? The government won't listen to you anymore." Eliza stood up and walked to the window. The rain had stopped and the afternoon sun broke through the clouds over the city. "We need proof," she said finally. "Real proof that the Council is planning something. And there's only one way to get that." Samantha looked up. "How?" Eliza turned to face her friends, determination in her eyes. "We follow them. We find the Council fleet and get evidence of what they're really doing." "That's impossible," Jack said. "We don't have a ship capable of deep space travel." A small smile formed on Eliza's lips. "Actually, I might know someone who does." The old shipyard floated in Earth's orbit. a collection of abandoned platforms and repair docks from the early days of space exploration. Captain Eliza Ward stepped off the shuttle onto the main platform. The air smelled of metal and engine fuel. Jack and Samantha followed close behind, looking around nervously at the worn-down facility. "Your friend works here?" Jack asked, eyeing a section of the ceiling where wires hung loose. "Frank doesn't believe in fancy surroundings," Eliza replied. "He spends all his money on his ship." They walked through a series of corridors until they reached a wide hangar bay. There, suspended in magnetic clamps, was a ship unlike any standard Earth vessel. It was sleek and dark gray, about the size of an old Navy destroyer. Parts of it gleamed with new technology, while other sections showed signs of modifications and repairs. "The Starhawk," Eliza said. "Former Earth military vessel, now privately owned." A man in his 50s climbed down a ladder from the ship's side. Frank Martinez had a thick beard streaked with gray and wore a worn flight jacket with patches from various space missions. He grinned when he saw Eliza. "Look what the vacuum dragged in," he called. "The famous Captain Ward." "Not so famous anymore, Frank," Eliza replied as they embraced. "Heard they made you the scapegoat," Frank said. "Their loss." He looked past her at Jack and Samantha. "These your new friends?" After quick introductions, Frank led them inside his ship. The interior was surprisingly clean and well-maintained. Screens and control panels lined the walls, some with technology that looked suspiciously like modified council designs. "This is quite a setup," Samantha commented, examining a biological analysis station. "Best parts from 12 different worlds," Frank said proudly, some of it even legally obtained. They gathered in what served as the ship's meeting room. Eliza explained their discovery about the Cedars and their suspicions about the Council's true motives. Frank whistled low. "So you want to chase after the most powerful fleet in the galaxy with evidence they're up to no good? Count me in." "Just like that?" Jack asked, surprised. "Eliza and I go way back," Frank explained. "Besides, I've never trusted those Council types. Too clean, too proper. Nobody's that perfect without hiding something." "We'll need a crew," Eliza said. Frank nodded. "I've got some people. Good people who keep quiet and don't ask too many questions." Over the next few hours, Eliza met the small crew Frank had assembled. Olivia Kent arrived first, a pilot with quick movements and quicker eyes. She was younger than the others, maybe 30, with short blonde hair and a quiet confidence. "Best pilot in 3 systems," Frank said. "Can fly through an asteroid field blindfolded." "I've never actually tried blindfolded," Olivia corrected with a small smile. Next came Marcus Bell, a tall man with dark skin and hands stained with engine grease. The ship's engineer nodded respectfully to Eliza. "Captain Ward, I followed the Council negotiations. They did you wrong." Nicole Wright arrived shortly after, carrying more computer equipment than seemed possible for her small frame. As communications specialist, she had a gift for languages, both human and alien. Last was Daniel Ross, security chief and former Marine. He had served under Eliza years ago during the first contact crisis. "Captain," he said formally. "Never. Thought I'd serve with you again." With everyone gathered in the meeting room, Eliza looked at the faces around her. Not a formal crew by military standards. Some were former officers, others had questionable backgrounds. But all shared one thing. None believed humanity deserved to be abandoned. "What I'm asking isn't easy," Eliza said. "We'll be going against the Council, possibly breaking a dozen space laws. There's no government backing us. If we're caught, Earth will deny any connection to us." "Sounds like my kind of mission," Frank said. The others nodded in agreement. "The question is," Daniel asked, "where do we even start looking for a fleet that could be anywhere in the galaxy?" Eliza smiled. "That's where Samantha's research comes in. The Council ships left energy trails as unique as fingerprints. We can follow them." "So?" Frank clapped his hands together. "When do we leave?" "Tomorrow," Eliza answered. "We have one more night to decide if we're really ready to chase the people who gave up on Earth." No one spoke of leaving. Instead, they began discussing details. supplies, routes, communications protocols. Eliza watched them work together, already becoming a team. For the first time since the council left, she felt real hope. They might be just one small ship, but they were determined to uncover the truth no matter where in the galaxy it took them. Stars streaked past the Starhawk as it traveled through space. 2 weeks had passed since they left Earth. Captain Eliza Ward stood on the bridge, watching Olivia Kent guide the ship through a dense asteroid field. The young pilot's hands moved steadily over the controls, her eyes never leaving the viewscreen. "Careful," Frank warned from his captain's chair. "That chunk on the left is rotating fast." "I see it," Olivia replied calmly, adjusting their course. The ship glided between two massive rocks with barely room to spare. Eliza gripped a nearby railing as the ship tilted. She was impressed with Olivia's skills. The Council fleet had taken a path through this asteroid field, probably thinking no human ship would risk following them. The door to the bridge slid open, and Samantha entered with a data pad. "Energy readings are getting stronger," she reported. "We're definitely on their trail. Any sign they know we're following?" Eliza asked. Samantha shook her head. "Not that I can tell. But they're still 3 days ahead of us at our current speed." Daniel Ross entered the bridge next, his face serious. "Captain, we have a problem. Long-range scanners picked up unusual movement at the edge of the asteroid field." "Pirates?" Frank asked. "Or Council scouts," Daniel suggested. "Either way, they're moving to cut us off." Eliza looked at the tactical display. 3 small ships were positioning themselves where the asteroid field ended. "They know exactly where we'll exit, almost like they were waiting for us." "That's not random," Jack said, joining them on the bridge. "Someone knew our course." Frank turned to Nicole Wright at the communications station. "Any transmissions?" The young woman adjusted her headset. "Nothing direct, but there's some low-frequency chatter between those ships. Not in any language I recognize immediately." "Options?" Eliza asked, looking around at her crew. Marcus Bell spoke up from the engineering station. "I could vent plasma from the rear thrusters. In this asteroid field it would create a cloud of superheated particles. Might blind their sensors long enough for us to change course." "Do it," Frank ordered. He looked at Olivia. "Ready for some fancy flying?" The pilot nodded, her fingers already adjusting the course. "Just tell me when." "On my mark," Frank said. 3, 2, 1, now." The ship shuddered as Marcus released the plasma. Behind them, a bright cloud expanded rapidly among the asteroids. Olivia immediately took the ship into a sharp dive, weaving between rocks half the size of their vessel. For 10 tense minutes, the Starhawk zigzagged through the asteroid field on its new course. Finally, they emerged from the field in a different sector than planned. "Any sign of pursuit?" Eliza asked. Daniel checked the scanners. "No, Captain. I think we lost them." The crew relaxed slightly, but Eliza remained concerned. "That was too convenient. Those ships knew exactly where to wait. For us. Could be a leak in our communications," Nicole suggested. "Or the Council has better tracking technology than we thought," Samantha added. Jack frowned. "Either way, we need to be more careful." Eliza nodded. "Change course every 6 hours from now on. And Nicole, set up encrypted channels for all communications." As the crew carried out their new orders, the Starhawk continued deeper into space. 3 days later, they approached a small orange-tinted planet with 2 moons. "Sensors show a space station in orbit," Daniel reported. "Council design, but smaller than their standard outposts." "Life signs?" Eliza asked. "Yes, but not Draconians or Arcturians. Different energy pattern." Nicole adjusted her instruments. "I'm picking up communications. It's a Viridian outpost." "Viridians," Jack said. "They joined the Council last year, supposedly neutral in most matters." Eliza considered their options. "The Council fleet stopped here. We need to know why." "It's risky," Frank warned. "If they report us, the Council will know exactly where we are." "We need information," Eliza insisted. And the Viridians were one of the few races that supported Earth's admission before suddenly going quiet. She turned to Nicole. Open a channel. Tell them we're a human trade vessel seeking permission to dock for repairs. And if they ask what we're trading? Frank asked. Eliza smiled slightly. Tell them information. That's always the most valuable commodity. The crew watched nervously as Nicole sent the message. After a tense minute, the reply came. They're granting us permission to dock, Nicole reported, sounding surprised. But only a small team. The rest must remain aboard. They're cautious, Daniel noted. Could be a trap. Or an opportunity, Eliza countered. She turned to the crew. Jack, Samantha, you're with me. Let's find out what the Viridians know about the Council's real plans for Earth. The Viridian space station hung in orbit around the orange planet, its curved structures reflecting the local sun. Eliza, Jack, and Samantha stepped off their shuttle into the station's docking bay. The air felt strangely sweet, filled with unknown spices and mechanical scents. A tall, slender being approached them. The Viridian had pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Its forearms moved in gentle patterns as it walked, and its large eyes blinked slowly as it studied the humans. I am Zix, the Viridian said in nearly perfect English. Station director. We rarely see humans this far from your home system. Thank you for allowing us to dock, Eliza replied with a respectful nod. I'm Captain Eliza Ward. These are my colleagues, Jack Dawson and Dr. Samantha Keyes. Zix led them through curved hallways where other Viridians worked at various stations. Some turned to watch the humans with curious eyes. Your message said you seek repairs, Zix noted. What systems are malfunctioning? Our long-range sensors were damaged passing through the asteroid field, Jack explained smoothly. It wasn't entirely a lie. They had sustained minor damage during their escape. A dangerous route, Zix commented. Most ships avoid that particular field. We're explorers, Eliza said. Sometimes the difficult path offers the most interesting discoveries. They entered a room with a clear dome ceiling that showed the stars above. A table with strange curved chairs waited for them. Please sit, Zix offered. Refreshments will arrive shortly. Once they were seated, Zix's tone changed. Now, Captain Ward, perhaps you can share why the former Earth ambassador is traveling in a modified military vessel far from human space. Eliza tensed. Their cover story hadn't worked at all. You recognize me? She stated. Of course. I was Junior. Aide to our representative during the third year of your council negotiations. Zix's four hands formed a pattern that might have been amusement. You made quite an impression defending Earth's cultural practices. Then you know the council rejected Earth's application, Samantha said. Yes. A decision that troubled many, including some within our delegation. Zix leaned forward. But you did not answer my question. Why are you here? Eliza made a quick decision. We're following the council fleet that left Earth 3 months ago. We have reason to believe they rejected us under false pretenses. Zix was silent for a moment. Then, surprisingly, the alien nodded. Your suspicions are not unfounded. A server entered with drinks in strange curved glasses. Zix waited until they left before continuing. The Viridian Collective joined the council just last year. We were welcomed with open arms, despite our own history of conflicts. Far more conflicts than Earth has experienced. So why did they accept you but reject us, Jack asked. Because we do not sit upon what they want, Zix replied simply. Eliza leaned forward. The Cedars. Zix's eyes widened slightly. You know of them. Interesting. The Viridian took a long drink. Yes, the ancient technology buried in your planet's crust. What exactly are they? Samantha asked eagerly. Devices from a civilization that predates all council races. The Forerunners, some call them. They place these Cedars on many worlds, including yours. For what purpose? Eliza pressed. Terraforming primarily. The ability to reshape environments on a planetary scale. Zix looked thoughtful. Most Cedars across the galaxy are dormant or depleted. But those on Earth, they are intact, operational, and valuable, Jack added. Beyond measure, Zix confirmed. especially to certain council members like High Chancellor Vorax of the Draconian Empire. So they rejected Earth to keep us from learning about this technology, Eliza said bitterly. Technology that's on our own planet. It is more complicated. Zik set down the glass. There is evidence that Earth is not merely one site of cedar technology. It may be a control hub for networks across many systems. The three humans exchanged shocked looks. I have risked much sharing this, Zix continued. But many of us newer council members are troubled by recent decisions. The old powers, Draconians, Arcturians, Mentari, they tighten their control while excluding races who might challenge them. We're not the only ones they've rejected unfairly, Samantha realized. Far from it, Zix confirmed. The aquatic, Myrians, the crystalline Lithosians, all denied for suspicious reasons in recent years. You're saying there's a faction within the council manipulating the system, Eliza said. Zix's four hands made a pattern of agreement. Led by Vorax, he seeks the secret outpost where these decisions are truly made, the place where Earth's fate was actually decided. Do you know where this outpost is? Jack asked. Yes, Zix said, lowering their voice, and I will provide you with its coordinates. Why help us? Eliza asked. Because the Council should be a true alliance of worlds, Zix answered simply. Not a tool for the powerful few. The massive Council Station Harmonious Unity loomed ahead of the Starhawk. Unlike the regular, practical lines of most space stations, this one was built to impress. Giant arcs of shining metal curved around a central sphere, like a model of an atom frozen in space. Thousands of lights dotted its surface, and ships of all sizes moved around it like bees around a hive. That's a lot bigger than I expected, Frank said from the pilot's seat. He had insisted on flying the final approach himself. Eliza nodded. The annual Assembly of Worlds. Every council member sends representatives. In the week since meeting, Zix, they had made contact with other excluded species. The aquatic Marians had provided them with fake identification codes. The crystalline Lithosians had shared their knowledge of council security protocols. With their help, Eliza now had a plan. Are you sure about this? Jack asked quietly. Once we're inside, there's no quick escape. We need proof, Eliza replied. Evidence that Vorax and his faction are manipulating the council. Daniel approached them. The disguises are ready. In the ship's cargo bay, Samantha helped Jack and Eliza prepare. The Lithosians had provided special clothing that would hide their human features, making them appear as minor officials from a distant Lithosian colony. Remember, Samantha said as she adjusted Jack's outfit, your skin should appear to shimmer, slightly. Keep your hands visible. Lithosians consider hidden hands suspicious. What about you? Eliza asked. Any progress with the cedar data? Samantha nodded excitedly. Marcus and I have been working with the Lithosian scientist. We've decoded part of the ancient records. She lowered her voice. Eliza, these cedars weren't just for terraforming. They were designed to create specific evolutionary paths on planets. You mean they guided evolution? Jack asked, surprised. More than guided, they programmed it. Samantha's eyes were wide with wonder. Life on Earth, including humans, might have developed along paths set by this ancient technology. The implications were enormous, but Eliza forced herself to focus on their immediate mission. Keep working. We need to understand what Vorax wants with this technology. 2 hours later, a small shuttle carried Eliza and Jack toward the station. Their Lithosian disguises appeared to be working as they passed through the outer security checkpoint. The busy docking bay was filled with beings from dozens of worlds. Remember the plan, Eliza murmured as they walked through crowded corridors. We find the central archives first, then access records of the private council meetings about Earth. And stay away from actual Lithosians, Jack added with a nervous laugh. They followed the directions Zix had provided, moving deeper into the EU station. The halls grew quieter as they entered the administrative section. Guards stood at various checkpoints, but their fake credentials continued to work. Finally, they reached a secured door with a sign in multiple languages. The human text read, Council Archives authorized personnel only. Eliza activated the access chip provided by the Marians. The door slid open. Inside, data terminals lined the walls of a large circular room. At its center stood a holographic display showing the Council's emblem, a spiral galaxy cradled by 3 hands. Start downloading everything related to Earth, Eliza instructed. I'll look for records of Vorax's communications. They worked quickly, searching through files and copying data to their secure drives. Jack found the official rejection notice for Earth, with comments far different from what had been publicly stated. Look at this, he said. Internal notes about resource acquisition and special containment procedures for Earth. Eliza found something even more disturbing. Vorax has scheduled a fleet deployment. Destination, Sol system. She checked the date. 1 week from now. They're calling it a quarantine operation. They're going back to take the Cedar technology, Jack realized. Suddenly, alarms blared through the room. Red lights flashed from the ceiling. Security breach detected. Announced a computerized voice in multiple languages. We need to go, Jack said urgently. Now. They rushed toward the exit, but the door slid shut before they could reach it. Emergency locks engaged with loud metallic clicks. Find another way out, Eliza ordered, looking around desperately. A panel in the ceiling opened and security drones dropped into the room, their sensors scanning for intruders. Behind the terminals, Jack whispered, pulling Eliza down. They crouched low, trying to stay out of the drone's sight. One floated close to their hiding spot, its scanner sweeping back and forth. Eliza held her breath. If they were caught, Earth would have no warning about the coming invasion. The drone paused directly above them. A red light blinked on its underside. Intruders. Identified, it announced in a flat mechanical voice. The Starhawk's crew gathered around the main table in the ship's meeting room. Tension filled the air. On one side, Marcus and Samantha worked with their new allies, a Marian named Sula, whose skin shimmered with blue-green scales, and a Lithosian called Kren, who looked like a walking crystal formation. They all stared at the data display showing Jack's last transmission before he was captured. We need to go back for them, Frank insisted, pounding his fist on the table. Daniel shook his head. The station security is on high alert. We'd never make it past the outer perimeter. We can't abandon them, Olivia protested. Nicole, who had been quiet until now, looked up from her communication station. I've intercepted transmissions from the station. They've identified Eliza, but they don't know she's the former Earth ambassador. Yet, they think she's just a spy from an excluded species. That buys us some time, Daniel said, but not much. Sula, the Marian, spoke in a voice that sounded like bubbling water. My people have operatives inside the station. They might be able to help your friends escape. How long would that take? Frank demanded. Days, perhaps, Sula admitted. Security is tight during the assembly. Marcus looked up from the data he was analyzing. We don't have days, look at this. He pointed to files they had downloaded from the Viridian outpost. Vorax's fleet is already preparing to depart for Earth. Once the assembly concludes, they'll move immediately. Then we need another approach, Samantha said firmly. She turned to Kren, the Lithosian. You said the Cedar technology forms a network. Can we use that somehow? The crystalline being's facets glinted as it nodded. The ancient records indicate all Cedars can communicate with each other. If we could activate one, we might send a message through the network. A message? To what? Frank asked skeptically. To Earth, Samantha explained, her eyes lighting up with understanding. To the Cedars buried there. And do what? Daniel asked. Wake them up? Possibly, Kren said. The Cedars have defensive capabilities. They were designed to protect their environments. This new information changed everything. The crew debated their options while Samantha and Kren continued working with the ancient data. Meanwhile, aboard the council station, Eliza sat in a small detention cell. The disguise had been removed, revealing her human features. She had been questioned for hours but had revealed nothing about their mission or the Starhawk. The cell door slid open and a guard pushed Jack inside. He looked exhausted but unhurt. "You okay?" Eliza asked softly. Jack nodded. "They're still trying to figure out who we are and how we got in." He lowered his voice. "I overheard the guards. Forex is coming to interrogate us personally. Did you manage to—" "Yes," Jack interrupted with a slight smile. "I planted the beacon before they caught me. This was part of their contingency plan. If captured, they would activate a special beacon that would allow the Starhawk to track them." Back on the ship, Nicole suddenly straightened in her chair. "I've got it, signal from Jack's beacon. They're being held in the security section, level 47. Can we get a message to them?" Frank asked. Nicole shook her head. "Too risky. Station security would detect it immediately." Samantha looked up from her work with Kren. "We found something. A way to activate the nearest seeder." "Where is it?" Daniel asked. "On the second moon of this system's fourth planet," Kren said. "It's dormant but intact. If we can wake it up," Samantha continued excitedly, "we might be able to send a message through the network, not just to Earth, but to all connected seeders across the galaxy." "What kind of message?" Frank asked. "The truth," Samantha said simply. "About Vorax, about the Council's real plans. We can broadcast it to everyone during the assembly." Olivia spoke up. "We'd need to split up. One team to activate the seeder, another to rescue Eliza and Jack." Frank nodded decisively. "Olivia, set course for that moon. Daniel, prepare a rescue team. We're going to do both." As the crew prepared for their mission, Marcus pulled Samantha aside. "Even if we activate the seeder, how do we broadcast a message? To the entire assembly? We'd need access to their main communication system." Samantha smiled. "That's where our friends come in." She gestured to Sula and Kren. "Their people have been planning something like this for years. They just needed proof and an opportunity." "So this isn't just about saving Earth anymore," Marcus realized. "It never was," Samantha replied. "This is about exposing the truth and changing the Council itself." On the bridge, Frank looked out at the stars as Olivia plotted their course to the moon. "Hold on, Eliza," he whispered. "The cavalry's coming." The great assembly hall of the Council station buzzed with activity. Hundreds of representatives from across the galaxy sat in tiered sections around a central speaking platform. High Chancellor Vorax, a tall figure with scaled skin and piercing yellow eyes, addressed the gathered delegates. His deep voice carried throughout the chamber as he spoke of security and stability. "And so," he concluded, "we must take action to contain potential threats. The quarantine of Sol system is not a punishment but a precaution for the greater good." As delegates began to signal their votes, the main doors burst open. Guards stumbled backward as Eliza Ward walked in, followed by Jack, Daniel, and several Marian security officers. Her uniform was torn and she had a bruise on her cheek, but her eyes burned with determination. "High Chancellor Vorax is lying to you all," she announced, her voice clear and strong. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the hall. Vorax's yellow eyes narrowed dangerously. "Remove these intruders immediately," he ordered the guards. "First here." "What we have to say," Jack called out, holding up a data drive. "We have proof of Vorax's real plans for Earth and other worlds." A delegate from a smaller world stood up. "I move that we hear these accusations." "Seconded," called another voice. More representatives began to stand, curiosity overcoming caution. Vorax hissed in frustration but could not oppose the will of the assembly. "Very well, but be quick." Jack connected the drive to the central display system. Documents and recordings appeared on the large screens around the hall. Evidence of secret meetings, plans for resource extraction, and records of bribes paid to key officials. "Earth wasn't rejected because humans are dangerous," Eliza explained as the evidence was displayed. "It was rejected because our planet contains valuable ancient technology that rightfully belongs to all sentient beings, not just the powerful few." Outrage grew among the delegates as they saw the extent of the corruption. Vorax tried to speak, but his words were drowned out by angry voices. At that moment, The ceiling of the assembly hall seemed to shimmer. A gentle blue light washed over everything, and a three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared in the air above them. Thousands of points of light began to glow across the map, each representing a cedar location. "What is this?" demanded one of Vorax's allies. Aboard the Starhawk, Samantha smiled as she watched the activation sequence complete. On the moon's surface, Frank, Marcus, Olivia, and their Lithosian allies stood around the ancient cedar they had awakened. Its crystal core pulsed with energy as it connected to its network across the galaxy. Back in the assembly hall, Eliza pointed to the glowing map. "This is the truth. A network created by the Forerunners meant to nurture life throughout the galaxy. Not a weapon or a resource to be exploited, but a gift to all living beings." The blue light intensified. Suddenly, every delegate in the room could feel the connection, a gentle awareness of all the worlds touched by the Cedar Network. "For millions of years, this technology has guided evolution across countless worlds," Eliza continued. "It doesn't belong to humans or draconians or any single species. It belongs to all of us." Vorax made one last desperate move. He lunged toward Eliza with a hidden weapon, but Jack stepped in front of her. Before either could be harmed, the blue light intensified around Vorax, freezing him in place. "The Cedars have recognized your intentions, Chancellor," an elderly Lithosian delegate observed. "They were designed to protect life, not destroy it." In the days that followed, the Council underwent dramatic changes. Vorax and his conspirators were removed from power. Representatives from previously excluded species, including Earth, were invited to join a reformed alliance. 2 weeks later, Eliza stood in the new council chambers, watching as delegates from dozens of worlds, including many formerly excluded ones, took their seats. She wore a new uniform marking her position as Earth's official representative. Captain Ward, a Viridian delegate, approached her. "Or should I say Ambassador Ward?" Eliza smiled. "Just Eliza is fine, Zix." "You have changed the course of galactic history," Zix said. "Your refusal to accept rejection has created something better for all of us." Eliza looked out at the representatives working together. She saw Frank talking with Marian delegates. Samantha was deep in conversation with scientists from multiple worlds. Jack stood nearby, now serving as her chief advisor. "The Council gave up on Earth," Eliza said quietly. "But we never gave up on the idea of what the Council should be." She turned to face the new assembly, ready to help build a better galaxy, one where no world would be abandoned again.